Hey everybody, welcome back to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb.
I'm Seth. I talk Star Wars with this man.
Alright, well, we're going to jump right into the news because there's a couple things to talk about, and then we'll jump into today's topic, which we're talking about the High Republic Phase 2 comic, Volume 1, Balance of the Force. There we go. I remembered it. It's a mouthful. Yeah, it's a bit. But let's talk about news first, because we got a little bit of news here and there about different things. Firstly, not Star Wars, but it is Lucasfilm, and we talk about Lucasfilm stuff besides Star Wars. We talk about a lot of stuff besides Star Wars.
We've been known to go off on a little tangent or two.
Yeah. But this week, let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is coming out pretty soon. Apparently, it went to the Cannes Film Festival, and they showed it there. Boy, are those people lucky. But it's coming pretty soon. It's only in a couple more weeks because it's so it's right around the corner. But they got to see it, and it got, first off, Harrison got a honorary award from there. He got a Palme d'Or, and then the film apparently received a 5-minute standing ovation. Apparently.
Yeah, hands got hurt after clapping for 5 minutes. So I'd imagine it'd be pretty good.
And so, yeah, apparently he was there for the award, and then it ended after he finished his little speech of saying he's honored, and all that. But it ended with him going, "Oh yeah," and then I got a movie to show you guys, and then they got to watch. So, I'm surprised we aren't getting any leaks of it, because I feel like this would be a situation where there would be so many leaks of this film.
Sorry, I just saw it.
Oh, Harrison with his.
She looks so.
Yeah, we're on. I'm on Star Wars Newsnet. We're scrolling through, and they have some of the tweets from Deadline Hollywood, and yeah, it's like a video that starts with him like this, but I think he's not. I think Indiana Jones and Blade Runner are the two series that Harrison actually likes
Yeah.
being a part of, whereas Star Wars is that stupid sci-fi
That thing
film.
I've worked on
Yeah,
that no one will leave me alone about.
yeah. But he actually likes Indiana Jones and Blade Runner, so it's a little bit different. There are some pictures though from the event where some of the actors were there, along with director James Mangold, who if you don't know his work, you probably do. You just don't realize it. Logan.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking about the guy who did Logan, and so he definitely understands an older version of characters. He also did the Wolverine, which I thought was not. I thought, yeah, I'd say it was definitely a bump up from X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm not one who hates X-Men Origins Wolverine like some people. And I understand the reasons to dislike it a lot. And I do have my problems with it. I don't like how Deadpool is written in it.
Oh yeah.
I do like how Ryan Reynolds acts as Wade. I like his Wade, but once we get to here's Deadpool, then it's not Deadpool. But we get Wade correct. I think Wade was correct, and I actually like. Sorry, they're working on some stuff in the background. If y'all hear that, they're working on some new tables here at Gamers and Geeks for the game for people to play with up front.
So if you hear any more
Them,
noises,
yeah.
that's why.
So, but yeah, I actually like some of the other characters too. I like Will.i.am's character.
Every other character makes sense. To me, that's.
I think Gambit is. I think out of all the other characters, Gambit's probably the next worst in that film because Gambit kind of sucks in that film. He fights him in the back alley of New Orleans, so he can or whatever, so that way Gambit can take him to the where Stryker is performing his experiments, because Gambit's apparently one of the people that escaped. Do you kind of remember that now?
No.
Because Will.i.am brings Wolverine to Gambit. Because Will.i.am's character is that jump. I forget his character, but he's the one that can like teleport.
Not Nightcrawler.
No. No, I love that Will.i.am X-Men is a search that like popped up. John Wraith.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, John brings him to the casino where they find Gambit and he's playing with the cards, and then they get into a fight because Gambit initially thinks that Logan works for Stryker.
Yep.
Other films James Mangold's done, he did Girl Interrupted, which is a classic. Ford v Ferrari, I think, is a good car film. It's about Ford and Ferrari and how they, developed their car, like how they became as big of names as they did. The brand. It's also like a racing movie, and it's got like Christian Bale and Matt Damon in it. He also did 3:10 to Yuma, which I know you sometimes like your westerns. Is that one you've? Logan is also technically a western if you really, really want to.
No more guns in the valley, man.
Well, it's also like it's supposed to be a remake of. It's really a remake of Shane, which is so on the nose of it being a remake of Shane because they even reference Shane in that movie because they're like, oh yeah, look, we're watching Shane.
Yeah, that's where that fucking comes from.
Well, no, and
no more. Go home.
Yeah.
And tell your mom there are no more guns in the valley.
yeah, no, I know.
Because everyone's fucking dead.
But yeah, like it's so on the nose about it being a remake of Shane, but with superheroes.
Yeah.
Like they're like, look, this is the film that inspired us, and we're gonna show scenes from it.
Yep.
I don't mind that at all, though. I actually think that keeping with production stuff. Obviously, we talked about this last week with the Writers Guild being on strike. It's now starting to affect some Star Wars productions, with Mandalorian Season 4 facing some delays, because while the script is done, that doesn't... So Favreau did complete the script, but that doesn't mean that they can still work on the show, because usually you want to have a script supervisor or somebody that you still want somebody from the guild there on set in case they have to make script changes and stuff like that. So you still can't develop a show even if the script is entirely done. I'm also looking over the rest of this article. While Lucasfilm has not officially announced the development of Season 4, series creator Jon Favreau stated in May of last year that he was writing script for Season 4. Then February of this year, he said he completed it, and that they were handed to Lucasfilm veteran Doug Chiang for concept art. Doug's been working on Star Wars since the prequels, if not before then. I want to say for sure the prequels. Yeah, since the prequels. He's done some great concept art. The stoppage shouldn't stop pre-production on the show, but Lucasfilm is likely getting ready for a situation where a deal hasn't been signed by Labor Day, because we don't know when a deal is going to get signed yet between the production studios and the Writers Guild. The last one, which we talked about last week, so the one in 2009, that one ran for 100 days. Which really boned a lot of TV shows. If you remember how weird TV got in that year, it's because of that. Because they still had to have a show, but they couldn't have scripts. But more than likely, It just means right now a lot of our movies that they were working on are probably on hold. Like we shouldn't be expecting James Mangold's Star Wars film, his Dawn of the
Yeah.
Jedi film, to be writing right now because he's doing a Dawn of the Jedi film. We shouldn't expect the Rey film to be writing right now, which is likely to be the first film we're getting. So that's now going to be even longer of a wait than we were expecting because we were thinking maybe 2025 for that if they like started production right when they announced it
Yeah.
or pre-production right when they announced it, which would be your writing and your getting concept art done. But now we might not be getting that until
Way
later, depending on when the strike ends. Yeah, when a deal gets goes through. Um, that's also gonna that's also caused some other Disney Plus stuff to get on pause. So like Wonder Man show and the Daredevil show have been paused because of this. Um, some other ABC and Netflix major stuff have been paused. Abbott Elementary season 3, the last season of Stranger Things. I think Tony Gilroy we talked about last week. Andor's on pause.
Yep.
So that's how it's affecting us. But hey, I'd rather writers get what they deserve, and I can wait for my shows if that's what it takes. Especially as somebody who wants to be a writer, I'm like, yeah, we should get paid fairly. So I'm not against this. On the other hand, there's other stuff that we can get on Disney Plus in the meantime. Because Disney Gallery, which is their behind the scenes show that they do, we'll be getting our making of season 3 for Mandalorian on June 28th. So, and I think the last one we watched together was the Book of Boba Fett one,
Yeah.
which I really liked watching that behind the scenes. I think you did too. That was a really interesting thing to watch because that was a show that was so controversial for fans. Like there were fans that really hated it, and then fans that were like about it, and then fans that really liked it.
Yeah.
So it was like all over the board. So getting to see how that show was made kind of like clued in a lot of things. Like I think that they shouldn't be doing digital body doubles for Luke in terms of the face. They should have just gone with the body double that they hired and just not tried to put a fake CGI face on him because he looked like Luke. He looked like Luke. He didn't need the CGI. If they're
Thing to say is I'm not in charge of it.
yeah.
I didn't mind it terribly much.
No, I don't mind it, but when I watch that behind the scenes and see that they were like so concerned about having a like somebody look like Luke, especially after Mando season 2's CGI looked like Battlefront 2 graphics for Luke. You missed that one because you weren't watching the shows yet when that happened. But yeah, so like, but on the behind the scenes they showed it, and so like, I can pull it up again just as a reminder. Like, the differences are night and day. Battlefront 2 Luke, Book of Boba Fett Luke. Like it looks like they pulled him right out of Dice's Battlefront 2. Yeah. Well, that's because the for Book of Boba Fett they hired the people that did the deep fake stuff, which they didn't do that on the Mandalorian season 2 version. So then when they did though for Book of Boba Fett because the deepfake people demonstrated how good of a job they could do on YouTube. They were like, "Look, we can fix that." And then Lucasfilm was like, "Oh yeah, let's bring those guys on." But they didn't need to because the body double already looks so much like here. Oh yeah, here he is. Like, just give him a little bit of a different hairstyle, and you've got Luke. Oh yeah, there he is in the Mandalorian season 2. I think the body double they got for Book of Boba Fett was a little different. I can't remember. Anyways, but we'll get to figure out some cool stuff about the behind the scenes for season 3. I'm interested to see how that looks. Yeah, yeah. They didn't need the CGI. It's just my personal.
It occurs to me that just a moment ago I very quietly yawned in the mic, and I could have leaned back.
Oh. So what should we talk about?
Sorry about that.
So should we talk about hotel news or book news first?
Let's just get the hotel one out of the way.
Okay. To no one's surprise, and I mean no one's,
Yeah.
Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel is closing permanently this year. After being only open for 15 months.
Too expensive. It's just too expensive.
Yeah, the final guest will be on September 28th. So they'll get the 28th to 30th. That'll be the final experience. Here's their public statement. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is one of our most creative projects ever and has been praised by our guests and recognized for setting a new bar for innovation and immersive entertainment. This premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms, and as we prepare for its final voyage, we will take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. We are so proud of all of the cast members and Imagineers who brought Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser to life and look forward to delivering an excellent experience for guests during the remaining voyages over the coming months. Thank you to our guests and fans for making this experience so special. So while they do not explicitly say that it's because it's too expensive, they said it's because it's too expensive. Because I'll go back to the quote. We will take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans.
I remember earlier we were talking about this, and I was like, yeah. Because you had looked into it.
Yeah, like when it first opened, like Scotty, myself, and JD, we wanted to go, but unless we were gifted the experience, we ain't going. Go ahead and say what you were saying, though.
When we were talking about it earlier, I was like, yeah, it's like $300 a night. And you were like, no, it's a lot more than that. Because I think it came
It's
out
5,000
for like
for a 2-night, 3-day experience, which basically means you're paying about $2,500 a night. Now, that is for 2 guests. So it's not 5,000 for one person, because there is no one person experience. It's 2 up to 4 people experience, and it does get more expensive as you get more people.
Yeah.
And then that's not, and even like, and they didn't do anything to reduce that price, because that's the price it's been from day one. But they even admitted we knew they were having trouble with sales. Because in March, they announced they were reducing its weekly bookings from 3 or 4 bookings a week to just 2. Now, as for anybody who booked state, because you have to really book way far in advance. For anybody that booked after September 30th, which was when it closes, it'll be closed. They are promising to help relocate people and find somewhere else to stay on one of their cheaper sites, because Disney owns plenty of the hotels near them.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to provide you a cheaper option, which you're probably saving $4,000, realistically speaking. Now, and it does kind of suck though that it's closing, because while the $5,000 is expensive, you are getting your money's worth because it's basically a full-on LARP experience that you're paying for those 3 days, 2 nights. You're also getting food and drinks for free, non-alcoholic, and certain specialty stuff. But beyond that, everything's. And then that includes your day. That includes your day pass to Galaxy's Edge.
I'm not saying anything, but it's not because I like feel
Cheated on that.
cheated or strongly. It's because I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm just curious on your thoughts on that. Like, I was discussing it yesterday, and like,
It's
I personally,
these things happen.
I do think it sucks that it's out of the price range of normal fans, and I do think they do need to find a way to lower that price. But I do think the price was fair for what they were offering. That's the problem. Is what they were offering for that money was fair. It's just realistically your fans can't afford that.
Yeah.
Not all of them, anyways. And 90%, not 90%, but a good chunk of fans that I know who. There's a lot of people who got to go for free that are Star Wars content creators. Now, not all of them. I know people. I know a lot of people who saved up, and because it is expensive, and I know a lot of people who did save up to have that experience. But I remember when it was first open, there were a lot of, hey, here's like Disney content creators and Star Wars content creators getting to go, so that way they can advertise this thing. And I'm gonna bet on a normal day, those same content creators could not go otherwise. And that's not me hating on those content creators. That's more me calling out Disney and their strategy for getting people to go. Because I think it was slightly disingenuous. And then that's not including some rush stuff that I've heard about of like QA checking and making sure the hotel was ready, because it was also prepared during COVID times. It was built during COVID times. So it was rushed a bit. It was a rushed job. I do want to. Disney also said appreciation for them, but I do want to appreciate all the cast members at Disney that were part of this experience, because from what I understand from people who did go, they are what makes this experience worthwhile. Because it's the cast members that are willing to be in character that entire time. Because this is an entire weekend that you are in character, just so you can provide a magical experience to these people who. So, thank you for what you guys offered for that. Because I don't think Galactic Star Cruiser would have worked without that.
Yeah, it definitely would.
At that point, then it's just a super uber expensive hotel that yeah.
Like,
That's not why you pay the five. That's not why people were paying the 5,000. They were paying it because of the experience. So lastly,
last thing before we get to
Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade coming out November. I'm pretty sure
all right.
is what I remember. Oh, July. It's a lot sooner than I remember. From Delilah S. Dawson, who I like. She's written the Phasma book.
In Black Spire.
Yeah, Black Spire. There was something else. Oh. Yeah, she wrote Black Spire, which was the Galaxy's Edge spinoff, which introduced V, who's somebody you can run into at the park. V. Maradi, who's a Resistance member. And she also did the short story The Perfect Weapon, which is set a little bit before The Force Awakens and is about the spy who turns in Rey and them at Takodana, who calls the First Order and tells them that Rey and them are at Takodana. So I like her. I kind of wish that she would get the opportunity to write more of Phasma, which is something she's also talked about. But she's getting an Inquisitor book, so hey, I'm excited because that's more of her writing and more Star Wars. We got an excerpt. According to Star Wars News, the excerpt takes place moments before the Battle of Geonosis. So we are focusing on this entire Inquisitor's lifespan, or at least Jedi to Inquisitor span, from the looks of it. Centering on Jedi Padawan Iskat Akaris and her master Simber Vey, the two fly into the dusty planet with clone troopers by their side. We get some details about Iskat's backstory as she and her master land. There's even a mention of Mace Windu. So let's just get into it. Iskat Akaris has spent much of her time as a Padawan, traveling the galaxy with her master Simber Vey, collecting artifacts and lost knowledge for the Jedi archives. But after being recalled to the Jedi Temple, Iskat and her master are sent on a rescue mission, one that will change the futures of the Jedi Order, the Republic, and Iskat herself. As the shuttle thundered through the atmosphere of the arid planet Geonosis, Iskat struggled to shut out the staggering cacophony of sensory input and focus on finding her center amid the chaos. This wasn't just a rescue mission, it was a military operation. The Jedi were soldiers now, but they weren't fighting alone. Thousands of clone troopers had appeared, seemingly overnight, to join them in supporting the Republic. There was even a clone flying their ship. After years of relative peace throughout the galaxy, the Jedi had swiftly mobilized to do their part as protectors of democracy, justice, and freedom. Iskat was thrilled, and also overwhelmed. She steadied her breathing and closed her eyes, one hand wrapped around her amulet, and the rest of the Jedi around her faded away to stillness. There is no emotion. There is peace. There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. There is no passion. There is serenity. There is no chaos. There is harmony. Master Khalfan had urged her to turn to this mantra in the early days after the accident, and Master Simber had repeated it with her many times. The words were stamped on her brain, on her heart. They transported her to the quiet within, made her feel as if she were the Jedi she was meant to be, calm, cool, collected, peaceful. Reflecting on the Jedi Code almost made her forget Tika, but did she want to forget? No, she couldn't think about that now. That was years ago. It hadn't happened again. Her teachers had seen to that, as had Iskat. She'd studied. She'd practiced. She'd gained the control demanded of her, and now she was on a rescue mission, surrounded by Jedi Masters, Knights, and Padawans. She'd never drawn her lightsaber in real combat before, but it wasn't her courage or proficiency that worried her. That made her two hearts beat so loud she was certain Tualon could hear them from beside her. She risked a glance at her fellow Padawan with a glossy black leku and look of determination. "You ready?" he asked with an encouraging smile. "As ready as anyone," she answered. So, Iskat is our main Inquisitor. But as, yeah.
Did the first Battle of Geonosis not go so well?
I mean, they won, but it wasn't as bad as, say, the second Battle of Geonosis, which is where
one of them was like
the second
bad.
one is where the zombies come in.
I forgot that was a thing that could happen.
Yeah, the brain worms.
Whoops.
Let's see.
Wildlife. Dangerous thing in Star Wars.
I was just reading some stuff, but yeah. So this book comes out July 18th.
Curious.
Yeah, we're getting a new character. We're gonna see a Jedi's journey from Jedi to Inquisitor, which I think will be interesting because the closest we've gotten to a full journey is I forget his name now. Hold on. Process. Trying to remember his name. Proset Dibbs. That's his name. Who's a blind Jedi who has a disagreement with Mace Windu on some things during the Clone Wars. Perset dibs, yeah. Um, he becomes the 10th brother, I think. Yeah, he becomes 10th brother. Uh, we don't get his full journey because by the time of Jedi of the Republic Mace Windu comic, he's already a master. Um, but then he gets, I guess, locked up in a similar situation as, say, Barris. Except doesn't deal with a Republic tribunal. In his case, it's just a Jedi tribunal situation.
I see.
And I guess,
Jedi version of internal affairs handled it.
yeah. And I'm gonna guess we never really know the exacts, but we know that at some point he escapes between like when Order 66 goes down and he joins the Inquisitors. So obviously he switched sides because of how things went with Mace Windu.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the closest we've gotten, and we know he and Proset does die because one Jedi force takes advantage of Order 66 still being in the clone trooper programming, and he's like, y'all are technically Jedi, and so he mind tricks the clone troopers with Order 66 to attack the Inquisitors.
Okay.
So you'll enjoy that Vader comic when we get to it. But yeah, I'm excited for this book. This is one that has been on my, like, when I heard about it, I was interested.
It's one of those things for me where it's like, why join up with the Inquisitors?
Survival.
Yeah, well, obviously that, but more personally, because that's the common sense answer.
Yeah. I mean, in the case of Grand Inquisitor, it's because he was upset that,
Either that or you just hate Jedi that much.
well, in the case of Grand Inquisitor, it's because he was upset that Jocasta Nu wouldn't let him look into the archives, like the deeper archives, the stuff that's locked up.
Restricted section of the library. What would you let me?
And he was he was one of the temple guards at the time. So that's why, like, it's like you're not a Grand Master or anything. You're not allowed to go there because that stuff is tempting. Because it's dark. Usually, a lot of dark side artifacts are in there, and so you don't want a Jedi who can't control himself going into that section because.
Counterpoint. I would like to know what the fuck I'm guarding.
And you just don't need to know the specifics.
That's the thing, right?
Because he knows that there's artifact, like there's Sith artifacts. He doesn't have to know the specifics of every artifact in there. And I mean, but that's not why he wanted to.
Yeah, well, very obviously, it's not just a like. Could you just fucking tell me what it does so I know why? Like, it's that fucking dangerous. But obviously, it's more probably going to be like.
Yeah.
I want to know what it does, so maybe I can use it later on.
Yeah, and so, but the reality is he wanted to look because he wants to study it and become more powerful. Because that's why a lot of Jedi that aren't masters yet, who don't understand the dangers of these artifacts, would want to look at that stuff. I mean, it's not canon anymore, but in Legends, in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, that's part of why Anakin is upset that he's not given the rank of master when he's put on the council, is because he can't look at the restricted section because he was hoping he would find something that would help him save Padme in the restricted section. But if he's not given the rank of master, he can't look at it. And I think that actually fits well in canon still. I actually would like I would like that little factoid to be brought back into canon because it's a nice little extra reasoning for that blow up, but also we don't need it because Clone Wars makes it clear Anakin's a hothead anyways, that he would have blown up whether or not that's the reason. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see how many, out of curiosity, how many Inquisitors we know about.
Like,
I'm trying to think what the highest number we've had is, because I
it's like 10.
think 10 might be the highest with 10th brother. But while I'm looking that up, do we want to go ahead and start our
Yeah.
talk about today's subject?
So which part about this little
Oh,
what do you want to talk about first?
so first let's kind of introduce the setting. So this comic takes place on Jeddah. Follows a few Jedi, specifically one of the main Jedi is Vildar Mack, who has just been assigned here and actually requested to be assigned here.
Yeah.
Over like where he was gonna go.
Yeah.
Because he figured it'd be an easier job. Because he's trying to get away from stress.
Yeah. Because like I think he's been out in the frontier for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's like can I chill for a minute, please?
Yeah. And that's part of it, yeah. And
It's like half of it.
and then of course he's got childhood trauma because
Because
the Sorcerers of Tun.
Tun came in and just fucking destroyed his entire village.
Yeah.
Like that sorcerer did not hold back at all.
And so but we also get to meet Maddie, Mathia Kathleen, sorry, who is the Jedi apprentice of Master Laban, who I think is really, I like Master Laban.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, who is the, I forget the name of the race now, the otter-looking race in Star Wars.
They're not Mira Lucas because that's an entirely different thing.
Yeah, Mira Lucas are the blind people.
Yeah. John's playing.
Yeah, John likes it. Salonians.
Okay.
But yeah, and so there are 12 Inquisitors in canon. I think it ends with, at least at the moment of, according to the Screen Rant article from this year, March. That sounds right. I'll skim through it while we're continuing our debate.
Yeah. So
she's the welcome wagon for him.
Yeah.
Which, so one of the things that I really like in this comic is seeing the convocation. Now, the convocation is not great.
They're a mess.
They are very messy indeed. There are some issues that need to be worked out very severely.
And soon. Because it's not good. You know?
Yeah.
Like they show up. Our boy, God, why can't I remember the protagonist's name in this one?
Which one, Tay?
No, Tay is the one name I can remember.
Oh, okay. Who are we trying to?
He's right there.
Oh, Vildar.
Vildar.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, Yeah, Vildar, who is Kefix, by the way, which is the same race as Quinlan Voss, and has also a very similar ability to both Quinlan Voss and Cal Kestis and Rey, which is the Force psychometry. Because we see Vildar use it later.
So, Vildar is almost immediately like a fight is started on the street.
Because he's caught. Because he doesn't start this fight, but he runs into some people that. Well, one we learned that Jedi definitely don't care for Jedi. Mainly.
No one on Jeddah cares for anyone else on Jeddah.
In general, yeah, but they especially despise Jedi. I've noticed. Because Jedi used to rule the planet.
They're not happy about that.
No. which I guess is fair, but we don't know the history of that rulership and if
I
that's a
also
fair
don't
issue.
really care.
Yeah. Um, I'm just saying we don't know the specifics, so I don't
I
know.
just think that like when a bunch of religious groups get together with like wildly varying opinions on things, it's like if you guys can't come to a consensus, which even in the convocation the higher ups can't do,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that like people out on the street can't do it either. Because it's like if we're trying to like put our best and brightest all in one spot and they can't come to a reasonable agreement, it's not looking good for the general populace.
Yeah.
And while I'm hoping for the best, I know better.
Yep.
And also, Vildar, I'm not gonna blame him on this one. He's new in town. He doesn't know the rules.
And so like because they run into somebody who is pretending to be part of a force group and is kind of just doing it to do magic tricks. And somebody from that group calls them out on it and says, "Hey, you're not part of that group because we don't do charlatan magic like that." And then that starts like a whole fight
Like
in the.
gonna be like a street.
And so Vildar steps in because obviously, as a Jedi, he wants.
Jedi.
Well, because basically they want to try to keep the peace the best they can. Unfortunately, this just ignites it even more. On top of that,
Not the time, not the place, buddy.
on top of that, our boy Tay shows up and is pickpocketing with the help of his droid.
Yeah.
Scoot, yeah, Scoot. I want to say Scoot because of a line that happens later in the comic. And Vildar chases after him, ignoring the fight. This is after meeting Tarna, who is the representative for the Sorcerers of Tun, which immediately gives Vildar PTSD and almost causes him to fight somebody.
Yeah.
And Tarna's like, "Whoa, I'm just the representative here.
Whoa, man, cool it. I'm not.
We're here to be
I'm
friends.
not scrapping with people in the middle of the street for no reason.
I just came out here to stop the riot because I heard there was a riot. I didn't expect Jedi to be in the middle of this." Which, I mean, Tarna's method is effective.
Yeah.
Shoot a bunch of flames to scare people. Yeah, nobody's gonna fight now.
What are you gonna do? I'm gonna fucking incinerate you if you don't stop.
But our boy Tay gets chased down. And Vildar loses him for a second.
Yeah.
Meets back up with Maddie. And eventually they. So let's. That's the premise. Is like they're Vildar is also there to help Maddie so Maddie is not to immediately bring him to Master Laban because they need to investigate a murder. Or well, they don't know a murder's happened yet. Missing artifacts.
Yeah, missing artifacts.
Which is something that's been going on throughout the entire phase, and we know who's behind this.
That bitch. What?
Just didn't expect you to call her that.
No, I'm tired of her and her fucking nonsense.
But yeah, we didn't. We know the mother's behind this.
Fuckery again, as she always is. How's your I'll install an heir to this democracy plan going.
Well, this is before that, so.
No, it's very funny that she thought.
Because this is all leading up to the Battle of Jeddah. Like the Battle of Jeddah has not happened yet.
Oh god. Yep.
By the end of this volume, it does though.
Ooh.
Oh, Seth, try to speak more up into yours. Can you try testing for me?
Hello, hello.
Keep going.
Hello. Is everything all right?
Yeah, you're just quiet. Let me check your mic.
Yeah. We're just gonna search and do a little bit of making sure everything's all right on the audio lens over there. Because like normally for me it's very low, kind of low anyway. I'm just okay. Yeah, that's a bit higher. It's good. It's good. I'm going into the yellow. I'm not going into the red too much. I think it's back at a reasonable volume. Let me know if that's the case. Or isn't the case.
It looks reasonable. Solved it.
Alright. So, these... The mother is just doing the most, as usual.
Without having to be there either. At least
Yeah.
until the end of the volume.
And so, they go into this temple and they're like, hey... Oh, by the way, there's this, like, missing thing. We're gonna have to go investigate it.
Yeah, so they go to investigate it where they find Tay over a dead body.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, that looks bad. And Tay's like...
Well, guess what? I know mystical dark side abilities.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, what was it? Like, the forbidden technique of Morocho.
Yeah.
And, like...
And apparently it's like a heart-stopping
apparently
technique.
What it does is, yeah, it basically stops someone's heart.
It's that move from Kill Bill.
It is, except as a guy who, like, has done research on martial arts, that's bullshit. That's not how that works.
Well, yeah.
Because that's not a thing.
No. But it's basically that move from Kill Bill.
It basically is, but in terms of force abilities, and me and you talked about this, how, like, I've seen so much, like, impressive stuff. Stopping, like, somebody's heart with a force is, like, nothing compared to the other things we've seen.
It also looks like the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Because he just goes,
Kalima.
Yeah, so he basically does that to Vildar.
Yeah.
Vildar that's the end of the first issue.
And
He
like,
thinks he's dead.
Vildar's like, I'm dead.
And in fact, it's being narrated. So the comic is being narrated throughout, and it's being narrated, it turns out, by Tay. Because the end of that issue kind of gives the reveal that, yeah, I killed him. And then, like, next issue immediately, it turns out, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't kill him.
I was fucking with him.
Yeah.
Because he basically wanted Vildar off his back, and so he did a little trick with him, because it turns out his race has these pheromones that can knock somebody out, make them slow down their heart rate, essentially, and make them think they're dying. Which the next issue, we get to go to our favorite place, the Enlightenment Tap Bar.
Yeah, baby.
Where we get to see the Twinkle Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see Kraden.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to see anybody else.
Yeah. But it's good to see Kraden again.
Yeah.
I like the Enlightenment. It's a nice place when it's not being shot up
Where
by
everybody knows your
gangsters
name.
or the Path or Enforcer droids.
We'll get to that in the comic in the next volume. Not this volume. This volume ends like at the start of the riots.
Yep. So that happens. Vildar is unfamiliar with the rules of Enlightenment.
Yeah, so immediately tries to fight him, and Kraden's like, hey, no.
Only
Bad.
2 rules in Enlightenment. No theological debate.
And no violence.
And no violence.
And you've broken one of those.
Yep.
You didn't break the theological debate one, surprisingly.
Yeah, actually, that is surprising.
He was like, it's the violence one you broke. Because Vildar says, but he did dark side. That's one of my favorite moments is when Vildar's like, he did dark side magic, and everybody in the bar starts laughing because they're like, oh, we know this guy. We know Tay.
He can't do that. We know he can't do that.
Yeah. And so that's when we learn about the pheromones, and when Tay reveals, hey, I'm actually on your side.
Yeah.
And he
People
has to
come to me when no one else
He's
will
Batman.
help them. Yeah.
He's Batman. When the city can't help them.
No, when the city doesn't want to help them.
Yeah, no. Both. When the city can't and doesn't want to,
And so
they call Tay.
They call Tay.
And so Tay's a vigilante.
Basically, no, not basically.
No, basically he is. And he pulls up the footage from his droid that shows that, hey, I showed
I
up
didn't kill
after the body was dead.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like, here's the evidence for it. Vildar is like, yeah, well, I don't fucking believe it. It's your droid. You could have doctored the footage or something.
So during all this, Tay manages to pickpocket Vildar
Yep.
and take his lightsaber.
It's like, got it. Nah.
And Tay leaves.
Yep.
And Maddie's like, you know we should probably work with him, right? And Vildar's like,
Yeah. Let's
drags
go
his
after
feet.
it.
Thankfully, even though he loses him, Kraden's like, I could tell you where he went. And this time it's free, but next time you got to pay me.
It'll cost you.
Yeah. Because information.
Yep, because Kraden occasionally...
He's sometimes an information broker.
Yep. He's like, oh yeah, he's got like a shady business deal going on. It's like 2 streets over.
So yeah. So very once again with the Batman-esque, like streety, like shady gangster business deals.
Yep.
Tay is undercover trying to buy sell the lightsaber and buy some Force artifacts.
Yep.
And he finds this one that's a bird, a phoenix bird, and it's made out of kyber.
Yep.
Which Tay immediately is like, oh, I know exactly what this is, but I'm not going to tell them what this is.
Yep. They like...
Unfortunately, when Vildar and Maddie show up, that ruins the deal, and the guy that was selling runs off. But thankfully,
and
Tay saves the bird artifact.
Yeah. Tay kind of looks over at Maddie and Vildar and is like, God damn it. Now I can't follow him back to where he was getting things because you guys showed up and now it's all fucked.
Yeah. I love Tay, by the way. He's my favorite character in this comic.
He's like one of the only people I could tolerate apart from Kraden and the Twinkle Sisters.
Tay definitely feels...
everyone else...
Tay feels like a character you would build.
You're right. He does. Tay and the, like, Jedi Knight, not the representative for the Jedi, the, like, Knight that's...
Oh, Olivia.
Olivia. Tay and Olivia.
Which we skipped her short story. There's a short story after issue 1, which takes place before issue 1, which is basically Olivia shows up to a meeting to see that, like, that they have started a fight with somebody who was trying to join the convocation. But
because you have to basically submit a form.
Yeah, you submit a formal like request to join. Like, there's no paperwork. It's just like, hey, I want to join, and then it's like, okay, let's talk about it as a convocation if we want you to join.
Yeah.
In this case, they did not want.
They definitively.
Well, it was a mixed bag because some of them were like, we're okay with this, but like 3 of them were straight up attacking the person trying to.
Opposed.
Yeah. The Yakombe.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about them.
That one's not. So that one's a newer one that's not in Legends. There's some that were brought from Legends, like the Mudokai. They're from Legends, which I like the Mudokai. I don't like the specific representative of them, but I do like the Mudokai. Because I like the little pole arms type, thing that they got going.
And the Yakombe.
It was apparently previously a dark side group who stopped for.
Was or is.
Well, it's. I forget which group it is that says that they're not anymore. But one of the members of the convocation says they haven't been for like decades.
Yeah. Although they don't
they don't speak for
directly
themselves.
Speak to anyone.
Yeah. They have
always go through intermediaries.
Yeah. They have a little what's the term they use?
I guess a translator.
Yeah, I forget what the term they use. They use somebody not an envoy. She is the envoy.
Yeah.
They have like a messenger essentially that's like who they talk to, and then that person talks for them publicly.
Yeah.
And so Olivia walks in on this whole violent affair and tries to like step in between, going, "Hey, this isn't what we do for defending the light."
And it's like,
and at the end of it, they're like, "Okay, sure, we'll let the Yakombe have a chance." And the Yakombe at that is like, "Nah, I changed my mind, revoking my."
I was hoping that we could find like a place for peaceful debate here.
This is apparently not it.
None.
Yeah, and so like they pull their request and they're like, never mind, bye. And after they leave, that's when our favorite character, Radikaz Sunshine Dobb, shows up.
This motherfucker.
And he comes in to give a petition for the path.
Yep.
And that's it.
Unfortunately, that's when the Herald starts talking.
Well, that's later.
No, but like
Later.
we'll get
Later.
into that.
Uh,
Meanwhile,
but it introduces Olivia during that comic, who's another Jedi who's here helping.
yeah,
She's a knight, so no master or anything, because she's
Yeah.
already passed all that, but she's also not a master. She's
Yeah.
just a knight.
she's basically who.
She's like Vildar in
yeah.
that regard.
Yeah, she more or less helps the Jedi representative with the
Yeah,
paperwork.
Laban, yeah, Master Laban.
Yeah.
And so Olivia, there's a theory because of her last name that she's related to the mother.
Hmm.
And it's one that I've been personally spreading since we learned this information.
I reserve all judgments until
This
things
comic
happen.
only increases that theory.
I will wait and see.
You're going to tell me that the final issue of this volume does not provide definitive proof
No.
that they are at least related.
No. Because sometimes people just
Bullshit.
look alike. I know it doesn't happen often in fiction.
If you can realize, if you can tell somebody, like if you start having flashbacks of you having, we'll come to it. We'll debate this later. Yeah, she's not quite independent because she's not like way seeker, but
Yeah.
she's still following the council, but she's not. She doesn't have a master or anything. She's just doing what she's really more just happening Master Laban. Anyways,
Jedi in the High Republic are kind of given a lot more leeway,
yeah, like they
than the
still
ones in the
like
movie.
they're still given orders by the council
but
unless they're a way
unless
unless they're a way
you're
seeker.
a way seeker, in which case you just say, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna go wherever the Force tells me."
Which even then you still have to get approved by the council to become a way seeker, but after that it's like,
Yeah.
okay, boom, you're done.
Unless your Bell's out of far and you just do it anyway.
Bell's not a way seeker though, but he just says, fuck it, I'm going after
Fuck it.
he's like, fuck it, I'm going after
Done.
my best friend because I'm done thinking people are dead when they're not.
It's like, I listened to you fuckers for
One
like
time.
a year.
One time, and then it turns out my master's alive, and then I get to watch him die all over again.
Not letting that happen again.
Um,
God.
But yeah, so they run into
With the
they along with Tay, they go to the only place where
The-
kyber crystals could be coming from and where that artifact could have been stolen from. And it's the Guardian. It's the Temple of the Wills.
Yep.
Temple of Kyber, sorry, which is
Yep.
protected by the Guardian of the Wills, and I always confuse the name because it's run by the Guardian of the Wills.
Not to be confused with the Church of the Force.
Yes, which is a different group in the Convocation.
Yep.
Because you got the Church of the Force, the Guardian of the Will, you got the Wills, then you've got
Like,
the
Church of
Mudakai.
the Force is actually really nice.
Yeah,
But
the Mudakai, the Fallen SC,
yeah,
Sorcerers of Tun, and then there's one more.
there's one more, but I do not remember their name.
And then of course the Jedi are members as
Yep.
well.
And so, when they get there, no, before they get there, the Guardians of the Wills do not like
the
Tay.
Lanto. That's the last group. Sorry.
All right,
Yeah, Guardians.
they do not like Tay.
No, because there's some bad blood between them where they
Yeah.
like only one person is willing to give Tay some benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but everyone else just
Oh, I missed with that. I don't know that. See, it shows the emoji typed in, so I don't know what that one is off the top of my head. Like, I can almost imagine it, but I just can't quite. Oh, it's the sick one, yeah.
yeah. So
Church of the Force isn't that bad.
No.
They're actually... We actually don't learn a lot about their specific beliefs.
we don't. The only
I'd say we learn a lot about the Sorcerers of Tun, the Guardians, and the Jedi.
Yeah.
We already know about the Jedi, but we learn a little bit about this particular era of Jedi. And that's about it.
yeah, I was going to say the only reason why I consider the Church of the Force okay is because of our former friend, our former Enlightenment friend, who is now dead.
Oh, yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. Because he worked for the Church of the Force.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, the representative that we see in the convocation isn't a bad
terrible,
person.
yeah.
No. If anything, they try to be too diplomatic in agreeing with everybody.
Yeah.
And that kind of is why the convocation fails at the end of this volume. And it's really not because the convocation's bad. It's just they try too hard to appease everybody to a degree where they don't appease anybody.
Yeah.
And they end up kicking people out that want to join, like the Yakombe, who are reasonable, but because other groups may not be as reasonable about it, they have to listen to them because they're already members.
Yep. And so when they get there, the Guardian of the Wills are basically just gonna shoot.
They basically kick Tay out immediately.
Tay out on sight.
They're just like, nope, gone, leave.
And he's like, I'm part of this investigation. And they're like, get out.
Yeah, so they kick Tay out.
Yep. And he's like, fine.
Where they don't ever tell Vildar what Tay did wrong.
Yeah.
But they say, yeah, if you knew who he was, you wouldn't trust him either. Which is such bullshit when you find out why Tay got kicked out.
And I guess we should.
Do we want to?
Might as well.
Okay, because it is this issue that they start to cover it. So yeah.
So, Tay used to be a part of the Guardian of the Wills until some kids were basically having like Oliver Twist shenanigans.
Yeah. So there's this one elephant-looking kid who
out in the street,
who is the original owner of Scoot.
Yep.
Who keeps panhandling right outside the temple of the, Temple of Kyber, but not really messing with the Temple of Kyber. But they are also pickpocketing people with the help of Scoot.
Yep.
Which Tay's like, hey, you can't do that, and goes after the kid and gets beat by kids, which is hilarious.
Like he gets jumped by children.
Yeah. Children and a droid.
Yep.
Which the rest of the Guardians are like, hey, not our problem. Our job is just to protect the temple.
Look into that.
Our job is just protect the temple. We don't care what happens outside of it.
The reason why Tay is concerned, but he's like, but these kids are basically being forced.
Well, he doesn't know that part
not
yet.
Necessarily
and that first run in, he doesn't. The first run in, he's not worried about that. The second time he is, but the first time he's not. The first time he's only worried because he's like, but they're doing crime right in front of us.
We should do something about it. And it's like not our job.
We don't.
It's like, are they in the temple? Well, no. Then it's not our problem.
Are they trying to get in the temple? No.
Then it's not our problem.
So, the second time is when he learns that, they work for this guy named Wozo.
Yeah.
And it turns out Wozo is a big name criminal. Yep. Like, big time, like, Fagin levels of, well, probably bigger than Fagin, Sykes levels, if we want to go with the Oliver Twist analogy, so Sykes is the bigger, Fagin is kind of, Sykes is the real big bad. Yep. Wozo's that level. And to the point where, like, the captain of the guards for the Guardian of the Wills is like, hey, you don't want to fuck around with this.
Leave it.
Stop asking.
The chief of police told you, stop.
Also, it's not our job to worry about that anyways, because he's not trying to do anything regarding the temple.
Fucking with the temple, leave it be.
Which, of course, Tay doesn't feel good about.
Yeah, Tay's like, I can't let this slide.
Because these are kids in a terrible situation.
Yep. And this is kind of happening in, like, the training hall where he and another guy are just sort of talking back and forth to each other.
Well, that's the guy who becomes the captain later. That's why I was saying the captain. Because I think he already is captain during that time. Because Tay makes the joke of when he runs into him again in the present, he's like, oh, you're still just captain.
Not promoted yet. And so...
Which, of course, does not
endear
them to him at all, but it endears Tay to me.
Yeah. So...
But, like, so the third
time.
Tay notices that the kid is nowhere in sight.
It's like...
And
That's not normal.
something that should be mentioned is the second time he chased the kids, he actually managed to not get flashbanged by Scoot, because he got flashbanged by Scoot the first time. The second time he threw an orange at Scoot's face. Which also, me wanting to call Scoot comes from the flashbacks, because the first time the kid tells Scoot, hey, Scoot.
Yep.
But like the different spellings, because Scoot, SCOOT, run. Scoot, the name of the droid, SKOT. Or OOT, yeah. So, Scoot.
Yep.
But no, so Scoot comes around and is like, hey, kids are in danger.
Yeah.
And Tay doesn't understand what he's saying, but he understands, okay, this is bad.
Okay, yeah, take me. Show me where they are.
And, of course, Guardian of the Wheels captain is like, you can't leave your post. He's like, watch me.
Dick. That's not what he says, but that's like about the level of concern he's got.
Yeah, like, as soon as Tay leaves, he immediately knows, like, he is not able to go back.
Yeah, he's like...
Well, not quite yet. There's a certain point of no return.
The thing that confirms, like, why you can't go back.
So he follows Scoot to this hideout, where it turns out this is where Wozo was hiding.
Yep.
And where all the kids are. Some kids are dead, but most of the kids are dead except for like a couple. But the main one who's dead is Elephant Kid.
90% of the kids in that room are dead.
But Elephant Kid is specifically dead, which is the one that Tay was gaining a connection to.
Yeah.
So Tay did run into Wozo the second time.
Yeah.
So actually, no, Wozo was mentioned the first time. You were right, because the second time he ran into Wozo, and he almost started a fight with Wozo there, but the Guardian captain was there to stop that.
Yeah.
So he's seen Wozo before.
Yeah.
And
so the guard captain
shows up because he chased Tay this whole time, and he's like, "Hey, we can't do anything about this." And Tay's like, "Fucking watch me."
Fuck that. You stay here and make sure the rest of these kids don't die.
Because, like, Tay is upset because basically it's revealed that Wozo got screwed because, like, some people that he was partnered with betrayed him. Like, full-on criminal cartel. Like, this is some, like, what's the name? I forgot the name of the show now. Netflix show about drugs and... Pablo Escobar's show.
That doesn't narrow it down for me.
Forgot the name of the show now. Anyways, this is full on like what you expect from criminal cartels and betrayals and gangster stuff. So Wozo's on the run now.
Yeah.
Cause he's the one who fucked up the deal.
Yep.
And it's never confirmed if Wozo's the one who killed the kids or if he let the kids get killed for him, like basically be meat shields.
It's unclear.
Either way, this is on Wozo.
Either way, he's responsible for this.
Yeah. And so, my favorite line from Wozo as he's running, because we get to see Wozo running first before we get the full-on Tay as Batman coming to kick his ass.
Yeah.
Wozo's like, he's like calling up a buddy to get a ship out of there, and he's like, I need a ship right now because Kraden wouldn't let me hide in the Enlightenment, which that immediately gives Kraden even more respect from me. Because Kraden, I imagine, is very neutral when it comes to these type of situations. Because I imagine he's let Wozo be a patron plenty of times.
Yeah.
But I bet you once Kraden heard, oh, Wozo got some kids killed. Nope. So I think I respect Kraden. I think it's a mixture of that and also like he just doesn't want the trouble of dealing with some gangsters coming to kill him. Yeah. Because
already had to deal with that.
Because while everybody respects the Enlightenment as a sanctuary that nobody should be fighting in.
Basically, Sanctuary's neutral ground.
Yeah.
For, like, everyone.
Yeah. And while everybody there respects that that's what the Enlightenment is, I think it would have been broken. Or at least they would have tried to pay Kraden off to let it be broken.
Yeah.
And Kraden's like, I don't want to risk that situation.
It's like, I don't want to deal with that. So,
Because the Enlightenment is essentially the hotel from John Wick.
Yeah. The Continental.
Yeah, it's the Continental.
Yep.
He's like,
rules. Don't fuck him up.
He's like, I don't want to be like, because he doesn't want what happened to the Continental to happen to the Enlightenment. Yeah. He's like, I don't want some rules to be broken and then for people to think that they can just break the rules all the time. So he's like, I'm not pulling that game. I'm not playing that game. But I also think it's because he realizes, yeah, what Wozo did was fucked.
Yeah.
And so
even if he doesn't know
the details, there's probably rumors of the kids dying.
Does know, but even
because he's an information broker.
Even if he doesn't, it's not like
there's no way
just went bad like that day. So it's like, no, I'm not gonna let you stay here.
Well, there's also no way that information about like those kids dying stayed quiet that long.
Yeah, no.
Because we know that there were hours between even Tay finding them before he tracked Wozo down. It took him hours because it goes from like midday to evening by the time he finds Wozo, which tells me that these kids have been dead a while.
Yeah.
Probably since the beginning of the day. And so there's no way word didn't spread in the underworld, which would have gotten to Kraden because he's an information broker of what went down. So he probably let Wozo stay there until he heard about that.
Yeah, and then it was like, you need to leave now.
But no, so I respect Kraden for that. It's another reason why I love Kraden as a character, because that gets respect. But then Tay, who is my favorite character in this comic as a main character, comes in and immediately goes roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Wozo is this alien species that has like a fish tank on his head because he needs like water, I guess, to survive.
Yeah.
Tay comes in and roundhouse kicks it so hard that there's a crack immediately on it.
Yeah. He's dumb.
And Tay's a skinny dude.
Yeah.
Like he's the purple guy on the cover there. He's a pretty thin guy.
Yeah. His opening move is a fucking jumping roundhouse to this guy. Like, Wozo tries, but it's very clear.
No, Tay does not give that man a chance.
Yeah.
Like, Wozo tries to start, he's like, oh, you think you're so tough, and Tay immediately just goes, bah, 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 bah. Like, it's like watching one of those brutal MMA fights where you know that, like the other guy did not stand a chance.
Yeah. Oh. Like, since this guy needs water to breathe, that fishbowl does not last very long.
No, because Tay goes in on him, and to the point where it breaks, and then he starts actively choking this man, and Wozo's like, I can't breathe, and
he's like, oh yeah, you can't breathe? Could those fucking kids breathe?
Essentially. He doesn't say that specifically, but yeah.
Sure kind of sucks, doesn't it? Like, that's not how it happens.
But, like, Tay does not show mercy.
Like, he's, like, very clearly won.
Yeah, and he's like, I wonder if the Guardians will come here in time to stop me. Oh, you're already dead. Too late.
What a shame.
And then he leaves because he knows
he's like, I can't go back. Can't go back there now.
Like, the moment he left to go chase Wozo, he already knew. Yeah. Like, the moment he left the kids, after seeing the kids, that was his no turning back moment. Because the captain made it clear. He's like, hey, if you go after him. And he's like, yep, I'm going after him.
Yep, fuck that.
And I agree with Tay, because what's the point of, like, being this force group? It'd be like if the Jedi didn't do anything ever to interfere and help anybody. It's kind of pointless then. You have all this power and you use it to... I get having a few people who guard the crystals, because kyber crystals are dangerous and very important, and in the wrong hands are deadly. I get that.
That makes sense.
And that's why the Guardians are there. But also, if Jedda's your home, why are you not?
It's like half of them should be protecting the temple, and the other half should be out roaming the streets.
Yeah, and you can switch up who's doing that. If you're worried about, I get bored doing the one job, mix it up.
And instead, it's like 100% of the group always at the temple at all times.
And apparently they're not even doing a good job
Yeah.
because
Come to find out, people have been just
yanking
stealing
shit. Yeah. Because so one of
in the present.
Yeah, back in the present. Because that's the end of the flashback.
Yep.
And it really provides a lot of perspective for Tay, and it really like after reading that, Tay became my favorite character. Like as a main character in this comic, because obviously Kraden's one of my favorite characters as well, but he's not a main character in the comic. He's a secondary to tertiary level. Tay is a main character, and Tay quickly becomes very endearing after reading this because you're like, Tay's a character that I can get behind. He's a scoundrel. He's that scoundrel with a heart of gold type character. That's basically like the trope. He's the scoundrel with a heart of gold. He's your rogue who does good things. Like he believes in honor among thieves, essentially. Because he does steal, but he's
not like stealing.
From what we can tell, it's not from poor people.
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think. The only thing.
And the only time we've seen him steal is at the beginning.
Lightsaber.
Well, and the bag at the beginning when Vildar chases him.
That's true.
That's like twice.
Yeah.
That's the only time we see him steal. And the Vildar lightsaber I don't count because that was like I think he knew Vildar would track him.
I just thought he did it to fuck with him.
Well, also he was doing it as a way to try to have a transaction with the.
That too.
He was trying to get in the good graces of that contact, which we do see later in this comic.
Yep.
Confirming that yes, he is working for the Path, and that the Path is behind a lot of this.
Meanwhile.
But yeah, so Tay and Scoot are arguing about whether Tay should go back and kind of get some more information.
I don't fucking need. They don't want my help.
While Vildar and Maddie are working with the archivists, there's two archivists who are.
One of them
is a lot more lenient towards Tay and kind of like.
I get it.
And then the other
one just is like, man, fuck that guy.
He's a thief and a scoundrel.
He's a thief, a scoundrel, a ne'er-do-well, and I don't want to see him in my library.
And who's to say he didn't steal the artifact himself? Because at first they don't believe the artifact's stolen, but then they go to where it's supposed to be, and there's just an empty plinth. And Vildar makes a joke of, "I'm assuming with the empty plinth, this is not good," which is like one of the few times Vildar makes a joke, and it's great.
Fucking snark. Like, oh yeah, and I kind of agree with Vildar. I'm like, wow, you guys sure do a great job of protecting your relics, huh? Fucking nothing there.
And so,
There's like no traps or anything. There's not even like a basic like triple arm,
or even like just a glass thing for it to be in.
Yeah, none of that.
It's just a plinth.
You know, I half expect.
Which maybe the plinth has an alarm system we don't know about, but it would have gone off.
Yeah. The best part, I think, is that there's like an open window right next to it.
Well, no. It's it's in the security room. It's in the security room. Because they go to the security room to go watch the tapes. If you're talking about where Tay enters from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they go into the security room. That which is where
Yeah.
So yeah, that security room is where it is, and Orinali is the one who doesn't like Tay.
Yeah.
And Zumeg is the one who does.
So they go.
So they go to look at the tapes and be like, well, maybe we caught who did it on tape.
Yep.
And Tay is sneaking in at that point, going into the same room they're in because he had the same idea of, let's look at the tapes. Oh, they already beat me to it. Unfortunately,
like,
Tay just keeps getting caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time because
that doesn't look like it belongs there.
Yeah, he finds a thermal detonator.
Oh shit!
And of course, the moment he finds it and picks it up and is about to try to disarm it, is when Vildar turns around and sees him.
Yeah.
And Vildar's like, "What are you doing with that?" It's like, "It wasn't me, I swear." And Vildar's like, Force pushes it away. Unfortunately, it explodes, and it kills Zumeg. But everybody else survives.
Yeah.
But is heavily injured.
It's very much a case of like Tay can't get away.
Tay is just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Got like the worst luck.
Yeah. But Zumeg dies, so the one who likes Tay is dead. And Unfortunately, this is when everything decides to start going down.
Yep.
So
like, we're taking you to like.
So the Guardians of the Wills have decided to investigate Tay. They're basically holding him prisoner until they can figure out what's going on. Basically, they believe he bombed the temple.
You're guilty until proven innocent, Tay.
Yeah, which the evidence, the circumstantial evidence is not good.
Yeah.
I should say it's circumstantial because it is. He just happened to be at the wrong place, wrong time. Unfortunately, one of the few things that could have proven his innocence is not working. Scoot, because Scoot lost the footage of what happened because of the explosion. Because Scoot was probably one of the few things that could have proven his innocence. On top of all that, that's when our boy the Herald decides to show up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the convocation.
Yeah, because Vildar wakes up from some healing process that
they're like, we'll put leaves on his wounds.
Yeah, the Lanto are trying to heal him that way.
That's not actually what it does, but that's what it looks
from
like.
From what we see, it's like a natural healing force power thing going on.
We will turn you into a plant.
But yeah, so Vildar wakes up, is pissed because he thinks Tay didn't do it. But
no one believes him.
Because he's starting to realize, okay, this is very circumstantial.
Yeah.
And maybe the Guardians who already have bad blood with Tay shouldn't be the ones investigating this.
Yeah.
And nobody in the convocation listens.
It's like, damn it.
Because for the most part, they don't want to step on any toes is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, they're concerned about overreaching.
And they're like, this is the Guardians' temple, and this is the Guardians' situation. We can't, unless they ask for help, we cannot step in. Which, of course, Vildar's not happy with. Olivia's not happy with. Maddie's not happy with. And even Master...
he's like...
I forgot. I just dropped her name. I've been saying it this whole... Anyways, the Master, the Salonian.
Yeah.
Even they're like, I don't agree with it, but we're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, they're like, damn bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Always getting in the way.
And on top of this, the convocation has decided that the official story of what happened at the Temple of Kyber is that they basically had like a gas leak, essentially.
Explosion.
Yeah, it's basically a gas leak.
And Vildar is like,
shouldn't we tell the people the truth?
Yeah. It's like...
And so we're starting to see the downfalls of the convocation because a lot of this is to avoid panic because we have the big celebration that's coming up because they have the
Festival of Light.
Yeah, well, Festival of Balance because they renamed it Festival of Balance so that way all the Force groups can enjoy it because Festival of Light is specifically a Jedi tradition, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And so they wanted to rename it as a way to like include every group. It's basically the Happy Holidays of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which, okay, yeah, I'm not going to get upset about. Apparently, though, the people of Jeddah do not care.
They're like, we don't fucking give a damn.
Yeah.
We have other things to worry about.
So they basically don't want to ensue panic because of that. And Veldar's like, not the best idea, but okay.
Sure is Vildar's response.
And the Herald comes in along with our buddy Sunshine and Yana.
Yeah.
Which is our first visual representation of Yana.
And
kind of how I imagined Yana. Like,
yeah.
Fits the description.
Nonsense.
Very tomboyish. Yeah. No nonsense looking. Yeah.
The nonsense with the path.
Yeah.
Starts immediately.
Yeah. The Herald's like, hey, I'm here. And they're like, oh, are you here to finally join? And he's like, actually, I'm here to disband y'all because y'all be stupid.
And everyone's like,
what?
No.
And he's like, fine, if I can't get y'all to disband, I want y'all
try something else.
I want y'all to disprove my theory by not using the Force for a while until we can get some research into my theory. And of course they're like, that's stupid too.
They went, no.
And he's like, "Fine, I'm out of here." And he goes out, and immediately he tells the crowd. And this is something we saw in the Battle of Jedi audio drama. We saw this part, which is him going, "I just got kicked out. They kicked me
violently thrown from the temple."
And it's just like, that's not what happened at all.
You weren't violently thrown.
You walked out.
You walked out.
And
they were agreed that my beliefs are nonsense.
I mean, that is kind of true, but they were willing to let you join.
Yeah. They also lied about the attacks.
Because I overheard them, just before I walked in, I overheard them mention that they were going to cover that explosion. Turns out it was a thermal detonator.
Also, the Jedi suck and are to blame for your problems.
Meanwhile, Yana's in the background hiding with the rod, getting ready to have the nameless attack.
Yeah. First time to see, like, the whole nameless, and I was like...
Well, I thought we saw...
We've seen, like,
Trial of Shadow, we saw the whole... in the final issue.
Don't think so. I think we saw, like, one of its weird, because it does weird things to Force users.
But I thought we saw the whole because of what's her name. We saw her version of it, the one that's not a Force user. That's Xi'an. I thought we saw her side of it.
We saw like one of its arms.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. We did just see its arm.
Yeah, I think this is the first time, and I was like, oh, it's like
a big
cat with spikes on the back.
I'm pretty sure we've seen it somewhere else because like
I know that we see it in the detective one from his like weird what like it looks like to him, and I'm like, I think
for the most part in some versions of the Jedi seeing it, we've seen this like it looks pretty close. It's just a little bit more monstrous.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure for the most part we get pretty accurate look at it a lot of time, even when the Jedi are freaking out.
I don't trust any like high Force sensitive when they look at the nameless because I know it fucks with them.
But yeah, so something is going on with the Force.
Yeah.
Where
and everyone
a riot,
out.
like where a riot is happening because before the freak out, everybody's immediately getting angry very fast.
Yeah, like
to the point, and Vildar,
but they should have gone up that
like
quick.
Vildar, I forget who says it. I think it's actually Olivia who says like something's weird. Where like I can feel their tension.
Yeah, everyone is angry, but this is like even
somebody's playing with their emotions.
They're also going up way faster than they need to.
And I think it's because the mother's there, and I think this confirms my theory that the mother is Force sensitive.
I agree with that.
And I think she's playing with the emotions and manipulating them because we've seen her. I still say we've seen her do it with Sunshine.
Oh yeah.
So some of my friends disagree. Some other content creators have disagreed with me in private, but I think that she did push Sunshine. I think Sunshine already did like her, but I think in that Path of Deceit, the first few chapters where she's trying to get him to stay full time, I think we do see that she does a little bit of a nudge on his feelings and emotions, which we know that Jedi can do. Now, I don't think she's a Jedi. I don't think she's a Sith.
No.
I think she just has Force capabilities. I don't think she's high-powered on them.
No, but they're enough.
Yeah, I think it's just enough where she can...
she is a schemer.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, so I think she is increasing the emotions here because we do see her.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not we actually see her or if it's Olivia just sensing her presence...
is unclear.
Yeah, because we do the whole, I see her, turn away. Oh, she's gone. They do that in the comic, and it's just like, okay, was she really here? Or is this just her presence fucking with Olivia? Which also increases my theory that they are related. Because why would you fuck with somebody in that regard? That you, especially when we get the flashbacks of her. Olivia gets flashbacks of her as a child, and I don't know if. So my original theory is that Olivia is her daughter, but I'm leaning away from that. I'm starting to think sisters.
I'm thinking not necessarily that, but maybe like creche mates.
But they share the same last name.
Don't know.
Creche mates don't.
Care.
Creche mates don't share last names.
Don't care. Her being related is to me an unimportant aspect.
I mean, it could be important. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Even in the where we're at with the published
To me,
issues,
it's,
which
like,
are
Not relevant
we're on
at
issue
the moment.
which right now issue 9 is the most recent issue. Even up to then, we still don't have answers regarding that because right now they're dealing with stuff going on that we see at the end of the
Yeah.
volume.
For me, it's like cool coincidence at the moment. Probably not relevant.
Probably not coincidence because you don't make characters look that similar and give them a same last name.
Hmm.
Not without a purpose, anyway. As a writer, I don't think you should. If you do, it's dumb.
Sometimes people, you know what? This
In
is a
fiction-
difference of opinion.
In fiction,
Moving on.
it doesn't make sense. In real life, yeah, sure, this could be an entire coincidence. But in fiction,
Please, for the love of God, High Republic writers, do it just to fuck with this man. But
yeah, but
ultimately, I don't.
anyways, all this is going down while
Yeah.
the riots are going down.
Every-
The Nameless had caused our boy from the I forgot his name now. Tarna to go off.
Yeah.
And
Which produces one of the coolest visuals.
I mean, it's on this back
Yeah.
cover. I let me turn it around for the audience so they can see the coolest visual that happens in this comic. Yeah, it's basically like this creature out of fire.
Okay, Caleb, that's a dragon.
It's got
That is a
arms.
dragon.
Looks more like the Nameless. Like, but from a Force user's perspective.
Hmm.
I don't see no wings. That's arms.
No, because see, that will be the arms there. Little wings going down. That is fucking dragon head.
I guess.
Yeah. It's still very cool.
Either way, yeah.
regardless.
Either way, it's a cool monster design that, yeah, out of fire. And
If I saw that, I'd be like, all right, yeah, fuck this, I give up.
the riots actually get worse.
Yeah.
And then the Fallen Aussie show up to try to stop Tarna, which does manage to get him out of it,
Yeah.
along with the help of Vildar, who is
like-
starting to grow a friendship with Tarna in a weird, like, I don't want to be friends with you, but you're
But
not a bad
You're
person.
not what I thought you were.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, we learned that, like, not all sorcerers are like that.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
he. Like,
Vildar just had a
Vildar is
bad
one of, like,
childhood
the
experience.
worst
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. And
He
so,
got, like, the crazed lunatic out of that.
yeah. And so, Vildar goes off with Maddie to go help other people.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Olivia joins them as well initially.
Yes.
While all of the Convocation members stay at the Convocation outside the Convocation Temple, as well as Master Laban. I remembered her name.
Yep.
Who stays to help as well. They end up getting to the Path House,
Mm-hmm.
which recently opened and is already in shambles because it was in shambles when they bought it.
Yep.
And
Like,
Vildar
"Alright,
goes,
Jedi."
and like the Path act like they don't want help, but Vildar's like, I'm helping anyways, and then actually gets trapped inside the House when it collapses.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, Olivia has to leave and go help Master Laban, who is saying, hey, that Jedi statue out in the middle of the desert, yeah, we need to go to that real quick.
People are tearing it down.
Yeah. So Maddie's stuck alone having to deal with Vildar stuck under a building.
Yep.
So,
They'll be okay.
yeah. Unfortunately, Olivia makes one of the dumbest moves, I think, in this situation in regards of how to deal with the statue being pulled down and immediately ignites her lightsaber, which only, like, causes them to
Incites
they just go, oh, we skipped something.
What did we skip?
Tay's escape.
Oh yeah.
Because that star-nosed mole guy who Tay was making a back alley deal with earlier makes his way to the Temple of the Kyber and is like, "Help me! There's a riot outside. They think I'm a Jedi and they attack me, but I'm no Jedi. Let me inside." And the Guardians are like, "Oh yeah, we'll let you in and close the door behind you." He's like, "Really? You would close the door behind me and let the city burn? Oh, you guys are awful fucking people." And he has a point there, but unfortunately, the rest of what goes down is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so the Star-Nosed Mole guy has backup of like a bunch of people who are coming in to like look for some artifacts. Specifically, they're looking for the rod.
That's why I assume they're Path members, or they were like hired out by the Path.
Yeah.
and so
Because I forget the Rod of Daybreak is the one Yana uses right now.
Yeah.
It's the Rod of Seasons they're looking for, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And there's like one more rod.
There's one more somewhere.
Yeah, it just hasn't been introduced in Phase 2.
Yeah.
I think it's something that will become important in Phase 3 because I don't think... Because all 3 rods are together by the end of Phase 1.
Yeah.
Because the last rod is the one that Crix told Markion about, of where it was hiding. Because that's the last rod, is the one that Crix is like, "Oh yeah, I know where that one is because I tricked
The Elder
Tromac to tell me."
Yep. And so
Tay is meanwhile taking advantage of this break-in to free himself with the help of Scoot, and
I can just leave.
Unfortunately, Taze is too good of a person.
Fucking conscience.
Yeah.
Getting in the way.
Because we hear Archivist Orinali crying for help as, like, he's being tortured for information on where the rod is. And, of course, he has no idea where the rod is, because the rod's not there.
Yep.
And Tay's like, "Fine, I'll go help him."
Fucking gotta help.
And so he saves Orinali.
Bullshit.
I feel like that was important to share because once again shows Tay's character.
Yeah.
Also, it explains how Tay got out of prison. But shows Tay's character because Tay is a good person who,
like, Tay keeps like, he's like, "I don't have to care. They keep fucking me over. Why do I keep helping people?"
Because you're a good person.
He's like, "This is bullshit. Every time I go to help someone, some fuckery happens."
But anyways, we end the issue with the Jedi statue being torn down, which is now we know how that Jedi statue got torn down that we see in Rogue One.
3 out of 4 were torn down. Now it's 4 for 4.
And we're gonna learn why it got torn down in the next volume. But I've already told you, like, I think I've said it on the air too. Like, there's actually a archive here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an archive here. Maybe the rod is kind of hanging out here. So, but that's the end of the volume. It kind of leaves us on a big cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I like this. I like what they're doing with it. I like how it's tying into the rest of the major storyline. I like the characters. I don't really strongly dislike any character. I think the only characters I truly dislike are the ones that are assholes to Tay, and even then it's like some of them have reason, but the ones who don't are the ones I don't like Archivist Orinali. I could what's your problem? What's your problem?
It's like, why are you Orinali? You weren't there.
Yeah, but once again, Cavan Scott proves his writing capabilities because this is Cavan Scott, who the High Republic writers as a whole just always prove their worth, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then the art in this is really good. Any freeze frame of Tay could be used really. I like this of him holding the lightsaber.
Like, I got it.
That would be a cool little image to have as a phone background or something. Him getting caught by with the dagger. his snarky little bow. Just
very amusing to watch.
There's actually theories that he's still alive by Phase 3 and that he's one of the people that Yoda's gone to make a contact with.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember if Sephi have a long lifespan or not, because it would be 150.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 years. So, because it says on the back, it remind me. But that's it for this one. I give it an 8.
Yeah.
I give it a good
that.
strong 8. Yeah. And I'm excited to see where the comic ends, because even at issue 9, we're not at the end, but we're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, it's the moment everybody's been waiting for. It's our Jedi Survivor review, which I'm gonna try to get you to play some more before we, because you've had some hands-on experience, but I think you need a little more.
Basically completed with story.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, Coruscant. I think you need to do some Kobo, and then I don't think you have to beat the game, but I want you to at least be able to talk mechanical, because we can both talk story, because you've seen the cutscenes and I played the game to 100. I 100%ed it, so we can both talk story. But I think to truly review a game, we got to talk mechanics as well, and so that's gonna be it for this week. Talking Jedi Survivor next week. Shout out to Cult Movie Cantina, who Mobcast Network, who do Cult Movie Cantina, one of their podcasts. Right now, we are actually still in the running for a nappy. So if you're local, that's like a little local magazine newspaper award that they do for local businesses, and we're in the running for best podcast, Cult Movie Cantina. So if you want to go vote for that, that's going to be on Lanyap's website, which is the name of the newspaper. You can find a link to those voting on facebook.com/Cult Movie Cantina, which is their Facebook page. And they've been linking it every day because you can vote every day. Scotty also is doing a play, which I'm going to go see tonight. But his last play that he did is up for the running because he directed another play before this. And his last play is up for the running for the nappies as well. I think he's also shared that on there on that Facebook page. If not, it's on his page. Also, other ways you can find them. You can find them on any podcasting app at Cult Movie Cantina. I was trying to remember if it was Cult Movie No. Mobcast Network. Mobcast Network. And you can also find them on youtube.com/Mobcast Network. I'm there. I produce and co-host, so you can see my pretty face there as well. Also, shout out to Gamers and Geeks and Engage Gaming, which are local shops here. Gamers and Geeks is our local gaming shop, and they do D&D, Warhammer, Magic. They've got an arcade in the back where you can pay $10 for a wristband and you can play on free play machines all day. And in case, as we said earlier, you can hear them working on some new tables for the Warhammer and tabletop side of the game side, because about time that the tables are fine, but they've been needing some new tables for a minute for some of the tables. So that's what they've been working on throughout the podcast. Engage Gaming is a rent-a-console sort of deal, except it's in-shop. You pay an hourly rate to play on a PS5, Xbox, PC, VR, whatever you want to play. They include the games as well, and you just play in-house in the shop and pay the hourly rate. There's also a monthly membership thing that you can join to decrease that hourly rate. And then my brain just... Oh, shout out to our Patreon member, Jennifer Brantley, who has been commenting today. And so if you want to become a part of our... Yeah, if you want to become part of our Patreon, you can check out patreon.com/Escape Reality Films, where you can watch our content a week ahead on YouTube for YouTube content. And then there's other stuff there as well. My books are there. Where you can get them a little bit cheaper than if you bought them directly on Amazon. And I also get a little bit more if you buy them through Patreon. So, helps everybody. You get them cheaper, I get more money from them. Everybody wins. If if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/Escape Reality Films, be sure to like or subscribe. And then you can also check out our Discord community, which is linked down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching on Twitch, twitch.tv/Escape Reality Films, be sure to follow or subscribe. And you can also have access to our Discord, as it is also linked. And then, only thing I think we're missing is your D&D.
Yep. So,
Sunday.
On Sundays, over at the Steam_Dungeon
On Twitch.tv.
on Twitch.tv, you can catch me and some friends of mine playing some D&D 5th Edition, Trials of Nebu. Currently, still preparing for a big dinner party with one of our rival factions, and we've invited some more people, because why not? What could possibly go wrong?
This immediately... I can't remember if you've seen this episode or not, but it reminds me of the Thanksgiving episode from Always Sunny.
I don't think I've seen that.
Okay, yeah, no, there's an episode where they decide to squash all their beef with all the people that they have beef with, and they invite everybody over for Thanksgiving to squash their beef, and it goes about how you imagine.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to join due to work, but you should still check it out anyway.
And
I am sure you will be entertained.
see if they can squash their beef.
Hmm.
Will y'all squash your beef with all your rivals?
Fuck no.
Is this actually a trap for your rivals?
No. It's a mistake one of our party members made.
Oh, so y'all didn't mean to invite them.
No. But they did a whoopsie, so now we're like, they're gonna be here in 9 hours.
So now we gotta try to actually prepare.
Yep.
So y'all are expecting not a dinner party at this point.
They're trying.
Okay, so y'all are gonna try to be
While Simon was away
yeah.
doing like going and looking into things around the city, since he kind of got back home after like a stay, and he's trying to figure out like what every like gang and faction is up to.
Yep.
And like where some of his family members are. He's like, he came back and they're like, by the way, we knocked out like the store owner for where we stay. Put him in the back, and we're gonna hope that everything works out.
Okay. But yeah.
I'm like,
so once again, y'all can find that on twitch.tv/Steam_Dungeon, all caps on Steam.
From 5 to 7 Central Standard Time.
There you go. All right, and that's everything for this week. Once again, next week, we will be talking Jedi Survivor, full-on spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, just kind of avoid next week.
What's it with Cal running into, like, just monsters in, like, the Star Wars universe?
But
like,
we'll talk more about that next week.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching, and I've spoken.